Hi, my name is Steph Smith and this is Uncommon.
Hi, my name is Laura Henshaw and this is Uncommon.
Uncommon is a production by Neuralle, an agency that helps both brands and talent tell their story. To learn more, just visit neuralle.com. That's neuralle.com. My guests this week are Steph Smith and Laura Henshaw, co-founders of Kick and Back for Round 2. I noticed recently you both updated your profiles, the little thing beneath where it says what you are and what you do to entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Finally?
Finally.
How long ago was that?
Before?
I don't know.
I don't know what I had before. But yeah, I didn't know that
Lifestyle
that you
blog.
could even change it.
Yes.
And then I think we found out that you could. So we did. There wasn't really much more to it.
When do you remember when that was?
I think it was probably a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like super
A
recent.
year ago, like being start of 2020. We're not
Yeah.
thinking 2019.
Start of
God,
2020.
yeah.
How's life been? I know wedding, pregnancy, 27 weeks, wedding upcoming. How's life? It's been 2 years since you guys were in here.
Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 2 years. I feel like it wasn't that long ago. But I suppose I want to say a lot's happened, but then at the same time, because of COVID last year, it felt like also nothing happened.
Yeah.
But life's been pretty good. We've both been really fortunate and we've got a lot going on in our lives personally outside of work, and then also with Kick. There's a lot of exciting things happening, and
Yeah.
so life's pretty good. Last year was a big year for Kick. A lot of changes and everything, which has been
Yeah, I was going to
good.
say, I feel like last year would have accelerated a lot of what was already happening. Just everything digitally would have accelerated. Is there anything you're particularly excited for this year?
Getting married. I am excited about that. And I think we've got some really exciting changes in the Kick team happening, and that is something that we're really, really looking forward to. We've got quite a few new team members that we've just brought on, and we're bringing our development in-house, which is
Wow.
really exciting for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's big.
It is big. It has been quite a lot. A big start to the year, but I think it's been really nice having that to focus on. And once everyone's settled in and we've got the team, it'll be fantastic.
So have you hired, who's going to lead that team? Have you hired like a senior engineer or?
We do. We have a head of tech engineering lead
Okay.
who we've just hired, which is really exciting.
Do you know, how big would a team like that need to be for you guys to bring that in-house?
So I think we'll start with, it'll be under 10
Okay.
people, and then from there, depending on what we need, I think with anyone that works in app development will know, the more you want to do, we always want to do more with the app and the product. And so I suppose as we grow, we can grow the tech team, which is really exciting.
Yeah. What a smart move. I mean, if you think about it, you lent on the stuff that you guys were good at, which is marketing, lent on others for that, and now you can bring it in-house while you proved out the model.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. So the last year, I guess maybe we should just get COVID done and dusted.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about. I know we actually wanted to have you guys back last year. Actually, it'll be 3 years from April that you guys would have been in here. I know we actually had Josh and G in the start of last year talk about soda. Let's talk about the impact of COVID specifically. If there's like one marker you can think of, what is it?
We're going to go personally or work-wise?
That affected Kick in particular, where
Kick,
you went, okay, wow, this is ridiculous. It could be like user growth, it could be retention, it could be anything that really stood out to you guys.
I think it would definitely be everyone in the fitness industry had a huge
online fitness
growth.
industry.
Yeah, the online,
Yeah.
definitely the online fitness industry had a huge growth, and that was really, really exciting for us. So in the month of March, kind of when we all went into lockdown, we saw a humongous uplift amongst our subscription base, which was fantastic. And then we then did our relaunch in August, which also people said, "Oh, did you do it for COVID?" And we said, "No,
those
been in the works for a lot
take a
longer
while
than that." But it just timed really, really well, because that we relaunched with Kick 2.0 on August the 19th, I think it was, and that was when we were just going back into the second lockdown. We were still in the second lockdown, and it was really nice to be able to give people, you know, something that they could do at home to stay active. And I think it has opened up a lot of, I'm really interested to see how the fitness industry will change from here, because I think it did, and it's amazing how many gyms there are, and obviously everyone's different. Some people need to go into the gym and, you know, do their workout with their PT or do a class, but we talk about it all the time. I remember when I was, you know, 16 or even 18 to go to the gym, if you were paying more than $10, you couldn't believe it, and it was so much money and it was so expensive. But now, you know, in the industry, paying $70, $80 a week is very normal. So I do wonder if there will be a bit of a reset on what people do, and maybe they'll be more open, or we've seen they're more open to online fitness, and you can do a workout at home. You don't need, you know, all these fancy things to move your body.
That was actually, who talked about that? I feel like Gemma Watts talked about like the lipstick effect.
Yes.
Everyone was talking about the lipstick effect. Like you tighten your budget. That being said, we're now like in a property boom. Right now.
Who would have predicted?
No, I couldn't have honestly predicted that, because we're going through that whole process of like pre-approval and all that, and we're like, holy shit. Like the amount you're getting pre-approved for now is not really going to get what you want. But yeah, that's very, very interesting. So I did both. What are the online courses that I did? So I did yours for a couple months, and I did 28 by Sam Wood for a couple months, because I wanted to try them both. Both equally very good.
You've had both of us on the podcast.
Both on the podcast.
That would be fair.
What was the? I mean, Sam Wood and our program has a huge price difference. I think if he's 3 times the cost of ours.
Yeah, 3 times the cost of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember. Like, I'm trying to think, is there an analysis I can give? There's not much to split between. I would have, like with Sam's, I think I said to him, I would have expected like heavier, like recipe stuff. But I'm also wary, because like that time that I tried out his, I just got a PT.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're doing the whole wedge shred.
Yeah.
Like, but having for me, the biggest thing I noticed was, those programs are great, but personally, I really, really need someone to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Because I am
have a lot of
honestly pathetic. Like I've actually cancelled my gym membership, and I'm just doing F45 at the moment, because the cost of impact of not going to a class or whatever and losing that is...
keeps you accountable.
It was very easy keeping up with you guys during that, but as soon as gyms open, I become just incredibly lazy.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I reckon you guys and Sam Wood can hit on in future, is like that accountability aspect. There's this thing that I came across recently where, like, if you don't do a class or you don't hit a certain goal, this donation goes to like an anti-fund.
An anti-fund?
Yeah, so the example used like 5-10 years ago was this guy didn't like George Bush, and he had a bet with a friend that he'd lose like 5 kilos and get fit again and all this sort of stuff. And he wrote a check to the George Bush Library Foundation in America, and if he didn't do this thing or didn't hit this goal, the friend would donate it to the library. And so that really drove him to hit his goal.
Yeah.
But he missed it by like 0.2, and the friend donated that money to the foundation. So there's this whole, and there's now like an app for that.
Did you join our Facebook community?
No, I didn't.
So that's probably our number one retention for and also accountability, because even we find that like I'll have days where I'm like, I cannot be able to exercise today. And then I'll go in there and I'll say, oh my goodness, you know, Claire, who's a nurse that just worked night shift, got up and did a kick workout. Like I can get up and do a kick workout. But I think the thing with kick and why we're a little bit different to, I suppose, an F45 or something, is that we're a lifestyle change that you can sustain, which we hope we can empower people with, you know, teach them they can work out for 20 minutes, teach them exercises they like, and they can sustain that for the rest of their life. So F45, I mean, sure, if you've got $80 a week for the next however old you are,
that's the thing, right?
100%, but the point of kick is to really, really teach, and joining the community really enhances the experience, we think, but it's to teach our community members that, you know, they don't have to follow the meal plan every day.
Yeah.
They learn some healthy meals, and then they know to cook that, and they are empowered with that knowledge. So
I'm also really excited by the fact that you brought the development team in-house, because it means that there's going to be more stuff to integrate those elements as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I think, because, you know, like, this feels like what YouTube was in 2008. Like, this is really, like, if you think about it, it's pretty early days for online fitness. Like, what does the future look like if in 2 years from now we all have Apple glasses?
Yeah, I know.
Are you guys going to be
Are we going to
walking...
be in the lounge room? Like...
Yeah, that's what I'm... Seriously, is there going to be like a Steph AI walking around and be like,
hey, I see you've
do this? Because that is absolutely fascinating to me. That component in particular, keeping people accountable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see where that would be a huge component of what you guys do into the future. What was in your minds with the launch of Kick 2.0? For me as an outsider, it was like, okay, they're getting in specialists who focus on certain areas to beef up what is already being done and improve the program. How did you guys think about 2.0?
It was more about adding variety to the program. I mean, we've always just wanted to have more and more content in there for our community to enjoy, and bringing in, you know, different trainers and everything like that. Everyone has a bit of a personal choice with like who they like to train with, and I mean, everyone loves Danny. He's the OG, but I think they were really excited to see some fresh faces. And then there's also some people who just prefer like a female trainer. But as you said, they kind of specialize in their own areas and they make it their own, and they're all very different. But they all have, you know, the Kick kind of way of living and kind of motto about them, but they're all very different as well. Like even pointing out Elise, for example, I think as our boxing trainer can be a little intimidating, as in like she's so strong and fierce, and even just being the boxing coach, like you can be intimidating to click on, but then you go into her classes, she's so sweet and so kind and nurturing almost in like the way she trains that a lot of people have ended up really loving doing her sessions. And it's the same with Brooke and Britton and our yogis and everything. So really the main point was to bring a lot more variety, to make sure that it was something for everyone, whether it was the trainer, the type of training, the master classes versus the planner workouts, which are kind of more breakdown style, as you probably would have noticed when you're trying it. We just wanted to really make sure there was something for everyone on the app.
Okay. Is there anything now, because, you know, you ship a product and then you look at it like a few months after, it's like, oh, why do we have this? Or we should have got this extra thing. Is there anything in particular that you guys really, really want to add for trainers?
Trainers wise, there is just definitely some things, and there's things that we're already in the plans of adding. The app wise, with everything, the way it like looks and works and everything, we just want to clean it up a little bit, because it's one thing to have a lot of content and a lot of features. That's great, but we almost have so much that it can be a little confronting when you first go on the app for a new user. It's like, where do I find this? You know, so that's things that we want to fix up and work on. But there's other things that we're already doing.
So what's if you look at like audience insights, what is sort of the thing that, like, because I read this note here that when you first came in, it was 2018. So how long had Kick been out, say from mid 2018?
For the actual app?
The actual
app. It was
app.
very fresh.
In mid 2018 is when we launched the app. We had a program for a website program, which was very similar, but it was on a website. It wasn't on an app.
Without a lot of the features.
Which we worked with another business on.
That's right. So you came in April, you were in July. So it must have been around then when it launched. And like, I know the launch was big. You had a big audience. I think we spoke about it. They basically moved overnight.
Yeah, well, we lost all our data.
You lost all your data and you were blown away by the fact that like overnight you had 10,000 people or something like that.
Yeah.
I know you would have had things like user churn over time. You got the second generation app, which I actually noticed the other day. It's got like watch compatibility, I think. You would have learned a lot through Playside about the core audience. What seems like the biggest insight to you guys about that audience that maybe they say versus what they do on the app?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one thing that we keep coming back to, and I think you can employ every strategist from all around the world, and they'll come and they'll tell you all of these things, and then it always comes back to the same thing, and it's the core Kick. And I think that's what we've really, really learned, is that we know our core and we should not kind of deviate from it. It's obviously important to keep adding value and all of those things. But for us, the core is easy workouts that people can do at home, and easy recipes that are budget friendly, are simple, and you don't have to think about them. That's how, we have a lot of our community, they'll want to do the workouts in their pajamas, and that's okay. Like, for example, with me, I have done exercise for a very, very, very long time. Like, I've always been a very, very motivated and active person. But our community doesn't want 1 hour strenuous, which not that I do kick workouts now and I love them, but that we're not appealing to an athlete. That's not us, and we should never ever, I suppose, try and, I think we just need to stick, and that's what we've really learned. Our community love kick for what it is, and that is what makes it really special, and that's what keeps them with us.
So when was it that you learned it was about being easy, simple recipes, easy basic workouts that don't go over an hour? When was that moment?
I mean, we often look into the data, but it's just more recently it's proven, as Laura said, to be a bit of a pattern that when you look at the recipes that have got most clicks, or, even posts in our social community and everything about, oh my God, you need to try this. It's all the family favorite, easy recipes.
Basic.
Basic stuff.
Okay.
And then the more complicated, really might look beautiful and be quite exotic in a way, not so many. So it is that kind of budget-friendly, sustainable program, and that's kind of something we want to make sure we stand by.
On the recipe thing, that is, I guess that's something you guys really have done well, is that, recipes, if you're so busy at the moment, which I feel like a lot of people are, no matter what, just that is life today. I love to cook, absolutely. I cook everything. Lauren barely cooks. But even I, if I'm cooking more than half an hour, it's just doing my head in.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I don't know if you guys tried do you remember the Jamie Oliver sort of...
The 15-minute meal
They are
things?
not 15 minutes.
They absolutely are not.
Absolutely. 15 minutes of cooking. The preparation time is half an hour, 45 minutes.
Unless you're a chef and can chop things in seconds.
Yeah. So I would agree with that. 3-4 ingredients, bang in a pan, stuff like that is
And it's easy, and that's our core. That comes back to what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach people that it's, at 6 p.m. you've just finished work. You could go on Uber Eats, but you've also got some really simple things. No, knock the sign, sorry. Some really simple things in your fridge that you can actually put together, and it's going to be a healthy meal. And it doesn't mean that, you had to go and spend $300 at the grocery store because you need to have organic, filtered water poured on your organic kale. That's not sustainable. It's not kick, and that is not exactly what health looks like. It can be easy, and that's kind of what we keep coming back to, is people don't want to spend an hour in the kitchen at 6:30 p.m. They just want to have something easy. And once you have kind of learned the tools and how to put together a healthy meal, you can then just continue to do that, and you don't have to think about it as much.
Yeah. So that goes back to you guys being a challenger brand in this, because you're essentially challenging gyms.
Correct.
At the end of the day, with a lot of challenger brands that we speak to, because that's really our focus with our agency now, is the idea or the movement or the thing. And so it's that easy component, because you're right, a gym, that's why I quit my gym, is because it's not easy. I get in there and it's meant to be an hour or whatever, and it's just, I don't end up keeping on with it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know that you guys have recognised that, and that's the core message the entire time. So what do you want to make easier?
I think we need to see. I feel like the thing is, and that is
what's the thing that bugs
is
you personally right now?
About what?
To exercise, food.
Well, the thing is that kick is not where we know that the truth is there is no secret to, all these...
No quick fix.
Apps, these things, they'll tell you that you can lose weight. There's an app with an ad where the person just runs and then just lose weight. It makes me so infuriated. But there's no secret. You could sign up to every app on the planet. You could eat every different eating plan on the planet. If you don't move your body and eat healthy, you're not going to, feel and look your best.
And be consistent with it as well.
And that's what's important. So the thing is, we can't make it any easier. We just want to, I suppose the only thing we could probably improve is our user experience on the app. But apart from that, the thing is that there is no secret, and our advertising and the way that we market Keep It Cleaner is not in a way that, come and join us.
Yeah, we've got the secret.
We'll give you the secret. It's come and join us and we'll help you learn. And people might want to stay with us for 1 year, but if someone stays for us for a year and they've learned all the tools for them to be able to feel healthy, that's fine. We've done our job, and that's kind of what there is no secret, and we can't make it any easier. People have to take responsibility, because even with what you're talking about before with accountability, obviously we all go in ebbs and flows with motivation levels, but at the end of the day, when we're 80, we're not going to be able to be knocking on people's doors. Hi, you're in our community. Have you done your workout? There has to become a time where you take it upon yourself to have that motivation, and that's something that's learnt over time.
Yeah.
With routine.
Yeah. Speaking of 80, out of the two of you, who's the most likely to have like the classic, the older hunchback? Yeah.
Probably me, because you have, I don't think either of us will, but I don't do much. Steph does a lot more Pilates than me, which is very good for your back.
Okay.
So I need to do, every time we film, I'm like, I love Pilates. Like, after I finish, it's so good for you, and I forget how important it is.
Yeah.
So you're a very upright runner, so
yeah, true, definitely.
True. I don't know, I just had this thought of I just love seeing the old ducks. Like, East Melbourne's a very old suburb. Like Brighton can be, like certain suburbs in the Bayside area, you get like people, I don't know, I just had this thought about an old lady in a rocker with the hunchback.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious. Okay, so let's jump back to the business itself. So obviously there's been big changes in 2020. I don't know what the headcount is, but it sounds like it's increased, because you were telling me in the kitchen that the grocery team has basically overtaken the office with the capacity and all that.
Well, both teams have grown so much, and then obviously with COVID last year there was capacity limits if people were to go into an office. So the Kick app team has been working from home since March, and the grocery team, when they have been able to with regulations, have been back in the office. And it's really exciting seeing both teams grow. I mean, they're growing for the right reasons, which is exciting. But yeah, we're just working out our next move with space at the moment.
So what, if you look at the last 2 years and then you're thinking about this year in particular, because I was listening to your podcast earlier, I only got like 30 minutes into it. I was like, fuck.
Did you like the start? Steph gave us like a full book.
Okay. Oh, it was fantastic.
Oh my God.
I was like, because I was sitting there, I had to go get a blood test this morning. I'm just sitting there in the waiting room like, oh yeah, I'm going to be here for an hour, because everyone seems to go in the morning for, fasting blood tests and whatever. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, sweet, I can get through this. And I was done really quick. So I was like, shit, I didn't get to hear any of it. But maybe repeat for people what's exciting about this year.
This year? Well, exciting. Obviously, I'm going to have a baby, and Lawsy's getting married outside of Kick. We've got some really exciting updates coming very soon, which unfortunately can't share. But we're also, as I mentioned, like working from home has been great, and our team has been so incredible and so productive, and we're really proud to be able to say that, because I know there was a lot of other businesses or even friends that work for other people who really just kind of went a bit slack last year because they could. Yeah. Our team has been really on the ball, and it's been incredible, but we do miss being with them. We have noticed when we have been able to be together, you just get this like, the collaborative juices just flow, I think, a little bit more in our... Yeah. So we're very excited to be able to come back together if COVID allows it this year. So we're working through that at the moment, but for now, we're just ticking away at a few exciting projects.
I love that. I love a little drip feed.
Yeah, I wish I could say more about it.
Nothing at all?
No.
How about this? Do you think, it sounds like with the vax, do you reckon it'll start getting rolled out before or after your wedding?
I don't know. I have very much, actually, do you know, speaking of the podcast from this morning, our take on this year, I suppose from a personal perspective, is really to try and go with the flow more. And obviously, if you're an anxious person, which I am, you need to control everything. Anything that's outside of your control is very hard to deal with. And so I have had to adapt this way, which I try to do, and it's kind of, you only can control the controllables. So something like the vaccine, while obviously it's very important, it's very exciting that it will be coming, I'm aware of it, obviously, but I'm just not spending too much time worrying about when it's going to come, because it will come, and obviously I'm not a scientist. I can't control in any way when I will get it. So I'm kind of just like, when I will get it, I will get it, and...
Yeah, do you feel like that was something you... Because that was a note I had here. It just said Laura's anxiety, because that was something we spoke about.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I remember when you guys came in, my anxiety was so bad that I was eating like... Because I had this thing about swallowing food.
We spoke about it, yes.
Yeah, and I was like pureeing food.
Yes.
Like, I'm completely over that now, but I did notice last year I became way more in tune with like that base layer anxiety.
Yeah.
And I actually had this morning. Do you guys get like... I don't know what it is. I can see blood, guts, everything. I used to watch, what was that show on Channel 9, like ER, or they do the surgeries. Like, I'm totally fine with like open heart surgery, but the moment that they miss a vein on like my left arm, I'm like, woo! It's like like that base layer anxiety just sort of ratchets up. How do you guys go with that? Do you find that? Do you get that?
I got a mole cut out recently, and I was lying there, and the doctor, I thought that because she had to put anaesthetic in to cut it out, and I remember lying there, and I felt like she'd cut into, I don't think I told you this, but I felt like she'd fully cut, like it was honestly the smallest mole ever. And again, I got it cut out because of anxiety. She literally said to me, Laura, I'm not
like
worried
3 people
about
tell
this.
you.
Yeah, I did. This
fine.
is me.
You don't need to cut it.
This is my anxiety.
Yeah.
I went to 3 skin cancer specialists.
Yeah.
They said, look, if you really want it out and you're really worried, I can take it out, but I wouldn't advise you to take it out. And I'm like, that's it, take it out. So I went back to the first one, and I said, you need to take this out. And I was lying there, and she cut it out, and I honestly felt like she'd cut out this cup's, like a huge deep hole. And I was thinking for a second, like, will I die now? Like, will this anaesthetic, it's just my mind, I need, but when anaesthetic especially is injected into me, I'm like, will I be allergic? Because I'm anaphylactic to nuts. I'm like, does it have nuts? Obviously it doesn't have nuts in it. Will I be allergic? And they ask you, are you allergic to any anaesthetics? And I'm not. I've never had a reaction.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but when I was younger, did I? And I forgot it.
Yeah.
So I had this moment where I'm lying there like, will I be okay? Of course I was okay. And then I looked at the mole piece thing floating in the water, and it was literally like the smallest thing I'd ever seen.
Did you faint?
No, I didn't faint.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to work in a hospital, so I feel like I'm okay with that stuff.
Lauren's like exactly like you. She's got an EpiPen. She freaks out about stuff like that. I've heard like she recently had to get a root canal or something like that. Something to do with a tooth, and they did the anaesthetic, and apparently he's like, this is just going to make you a little bit anxious. This because apparently it does. Like apparently local anaesthetic does.
I've had it in my mouth because when you're anaphylactic,
so she was jazzed.
Your throat swells up. And so I was going to get my wisdom teeth taken out under local, but I changed my mind after having like a small thing in my, I can't remember what I'm feeling, I can't remember what it was. But when it gets injected, you can't swallow, and you can't swallow when you're having an anaphylactic reaction. So I automatically thought that I couldn't breathe and I couldn't swallow. And I'm like lying there like, I'm good. But in my mind, I'm like, is this the end?
I know. Steph's like, what the fuck is with these guys? I'm like, man, that used to be
Steph gets me out of
all
it.
the time.
I'll message her, I was like, am I dying? She was like, no, Laura. The chance of it is very much 0. So, and then I'm like, okay, back to reality. I'm good.
Yeah, that was not fun. Like having that I remember like just that feeling is honestly the worst.
Your face was very skinny too.
It was very skinny.
Yeah.
Like unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think I mentioned to you afterwards that I had to end up taking, because I did so many sessions with the psych and all these other lifestyle changes, I ended up taking some medication.
Yeah.
Very low dose, but it was just enough to sort of get me over that hump. And I highly recommend it so long as you've got a GP who's gone through the whole process.
Yeah.
But I was actually all right last year, like anxiety-wise. I was pretty...
That's good.
Pretty good. All right, anxiety, we've covered that. That's good. So on the marketing side of things, I think I said in both your episodes that I think you guys are probably some of the smartest marketers in Australia, but it gets overlooked obviously because Instagram, lifestyle, all that sort of stuff. I know you've got a fresh year ahead of you, obviously with the baby and whatnot coming around. When it comes to the go-to-market strategy, we spoke about, you brought in the engineering team, okay? So you've got engineering now and marketing. What is going to change, if anything, around the way that you go to market? Because you would have probably in the last few years gotten to a point with your audience where you've grown it so much organically between yourselves. How do you go to the next level? Do you want to go to that next level? Are you going to list like Jerry? Is that something that's on your mind?
No. I mean,
not yet, at least.
definitely not anytime soon with the listing. But I think that was a big kind of purpose with the relaunch was to make, because we've grown really, as you said, really organically. We're also self-funded, so we haven't, we didn't have
raise.
Yeah, I mean, the sets that we built for the relaunch, we could not have done that, when we first launched the app. We just didn't have the funds for it. And so we've kind of grown slowly, which has been really, really exciting and organically to be able to do that. But one of the main purposes of the relaunch was we've got our community. We were filming videos in our office, and they were probably like a little bit off center, and we had one light, and it wasn't very fancy, but that's not what our community expects from us. But then obviously you get to a point where if you want to grow your audience past kind of that organic audience, you have to appeal to a wider audience. And to do that, we needed to, I suppose, we never want to take away from how relatable Kik is and how easy it is to use. And we never want people to go in and think, oh, this is too fancy, like this isn't me. But we just wanted to make it, I suppose, I don't know if shinier is the word, but just a little bit more appealing to a cold user who's never seen Kik before. They've never heard of us, and they come in, they're like, what is this? What?
Yeah, you refine things gradually.
Exactly right. And that was, I suppose, a big part of the relaunch and why we wanted to do it. So then now, as we do try to grow, and we will, everyone gets to a point where you have to start appealing to colder users, because there's no one you've kind of gone through all of your own audience. And to do that, that's also why we brought in the new trainers. Kik is not so much about us anymore. It's about Kik, and it's starting to stand on its own, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, interesting. So you don't even look at it from like a marketing and product are sort of the same thing in a way.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, ratcheting or refining things up is definitely the way to go. I remember when we first had our podcast, it was like the remote things with the little Zoom device. And I would go visit people, and then it came into our own place, and then we went to the ones that you were both in here with the big mics, then this, and then hopefully we'll have a proper studio where we can design the actual space ourselves. That space that you had where you did all the filming, do you guys, is that like in your current workplace, or did you just...
The old one or the new?
I don't know.
The one in the app right now, the rooms, the coloured rooms.
The rooms, yeah.
So they're sets that are set up for when we film.
That you design,
so they're currently in a storage
They're huge.
They're huge.
Yeah, they're really big.
But when we film, we hire out a space and they get built and styled out. And that's kind of how we do it. The old set used to be in our office, just in the corner of our office.
So we'd literally be filming when there's like six people at their desks right behind us while we're filming.
Well, you could tell. You could tell. No, I could tell because I'd seen like imagery of what the office would look like.
Willie would just, our dogs would just walk in.
One of the dogs would just come up and just sit there. But like, to be honest, to the core audience, that sort of, they probably like that.
Yeah,
they
that's
did.
right.
They did.
And I think we're really lucky that we've never, ever tried to be anything that we're not. And so that's why when we just do the most, it is basic, but also, again, it comes back to why do people come into the app? They come into the app because they want easy workouts. They don't want a very, very serious workout. We laugh through the whole thing. If you're not up for having a laugh, you wouldn't do Kik. If you take it too seriously, you wouldn't do Kik. And that's why, I suppose, that's why they come to us, but to appeal to that extra audience.
Yes, you. Are you intrigued by this episode? If so, go to our footer on the website, neuralle.com, neuralle.com. We're going to give you an insight. Each week it's going to be on business, marketing, or a topic that we covered in the episode. At all, we'd love your support, and it would help us in developing the intellect around this series. But without going on too much longer, let's get back into this episode.
So that has me thinking then, so you've had these spaces, these rooms that you design up. Let's say things continue to grow as they are, you add to headcount. The next sort of development from a product/marketing point of view is more, because I noticed with a lot of tech-related companies, they go to more bricks and mortar. Like they like that tangible, physical experience, which you have with, when events were a thing, you had your events. And I was just listening to this podcast the other day. It was about Apple and how they're, an experienced business now. There's similar elements that you guys exhibit in that regard, I think, with the app. But like I said, that integrating the in-person touchy-feely type thing. Another good brand that's done that is like July Luggage. They'll have a small space. You go in there, you don't really buy anything there, but you just sort of touch the fabrics. It's like when you go into like one day bridal, like you'll touch the things, but you don't actually get it. You order it after the fact and so on. Have you given any thought around to how that happens in a business like yours?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely have, but it's very much, I think for us, when one thing that was probably the worst thing about 2020 was we did not engage with our community in person. And that so is much. Just crazy. The last time we did an in-person workout was over a year ago with our community, and that is what is our, seeing women that have used to like not feel confident and in themselves or about working out or didn't feel like they knew what to do to then come and wear a sports bra and they've never worn one before. It doesn't matter what their body looks like, but they feel confident, and they feel confident doing a squat because they've learned how to do it with kick, and they they've got this beautiful smile on their face. Like, that is why we do what we do. And while we can obviously through our Facebook community we can speak to them every day, which we do, you can't really do that online. The effect in person is just, you can't really compare it to online. So we definitely, as soon as we can start doing events again and kind of engage with our community in person as much as we can, we will. And we've also got more plans to kind of, I suppose, take that to another level as well.
Yeah, because I've always thought, just with the amount of cafes that you guys go to, a kick cafe is like in the building where you've got a space to exercise and eat. I don't know, there's something about that. You're just nodding like, yeah. Don't want to give anything away. I guess obviously because you guys would have grown, others would have grown in the space. I spoke about 28 by. I found it very interesting looking at, what was it the other day, the Fitness Plus, because I just got this watch and they give you 3 months free of Fitness Plus. It's becoming a more competitive space.
Absolutely.
How are you looking at that? Do you just go, like as a challenger brand, you go, okay, well, we've got our positioning and they've got their positioning and we'll just stick to our guns on that? Or do you pay more attention to things they're doing from like a product point of view?
It's kind of a bit of both. As Laura said, we always want to stay, in our lane and be what Kick is about in everything that we do. But at the same time, just like our community would be super keen for us to do, like we love keeping up with the latest updates or what kind of features we can add or how we can, make the app even better or more user-friendly and all that sort of stuff. So we'll always keep an eye on that sort of thing. I mean, particularly with Apple, they're so advanced in like what they can do and everything, obviously, as well. So it's really cool to be able to see all that sort of side of stuff. But at the same time, we are definitely always going to stay in our own lane. And I think the thing that we've always stayed true to is there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to exercise. Some people need to do it in person, some people need a PT, some people prefer really, really challenging exercises, and then others prefer something that's going to take them 10, 15 minutes and they can do it at the end of the bed. So we've found what our community loves, and also while still touching an outsider community as well who've kind of learnt to love what we're about, that we try not to get too distracted by what someone who's going for something else, say maybe a weight loss program or, a challenge is doing, because it's just not ever going to really align with us and our community.
Yeah. I mean, when I looked at it, the whole space, I really think I don't know much about the international space, but I know that there's 3 obvious leaders here. It's Sweat, yourselves, and 28 by. The others are sort of in various ways, they've got things that are done externally. So those 3 brands, including yours, seem to be the only ones that do a lot of stuff internally. I haven't really seen, even when you search on the Apple Store, I haven't really seen anything in the international market. Have you noticed anyone, or is Australia just ahead of the game with this?
Oh,
there's so much. Like every brand has their own fitness program now.
But they're not like. Do you know what I mean? They're sort of like I don't know. Like every time I've looked at them and tried to use them, because I've got a mate who owns a pretty large business called Gymleads. It's sort of like a SaaS company for gyms. Okay. So all the big gyms use their CRM platform that he's built, and he was just saying like, there's not really anything that does it the way that these 3 brands do it.
Australia is different though. I think Australia really focus on community a little bit more, whereas all of the overseas fitness apps, they have also, a lot of them are driven solely by digital marketing and Facebook spend. They just spend a lot of money. They get in front of everyone and, you know, they get people on them because they promise that they'll lose weight and, you know, and that's,
it's like
and
that,
it's very like muscly and like aesthetic and focus on exactly what you look like and you might not really community behind it. It's kind of a brand that or a company, they've seen that, you know, fitness apps work really well. They know the formula for Facebook marketing and digital and they
and a basic
do that.
program.
Exactly right. Yeah. They are basic and that's,
it never changes.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
There's probably maybe 30 apps, you know, in America that kill it and their revenue would be extremely high and they all do exactly the same thing. And they just spend a lot of money on digital, but the actual app is exactly the same.
Yeah.
The workouts are the same. There's no revolutionary workout that's going to change your life. It all comes down to the same thing.
So do you eye off the US market then?
It's an interesting, I mean, Kayla does really well in the US, but Sweat was first to market.
True.
Yep.
They do a fantastic job. But with the US, it's something that we've definitely considered. Except the US market is very, for example, on the App Store, it's more muscly and like abs.
They're into that wheatgrass shot into a super, super sweaty workout that's going to be really intense, 45 minutes, and then go do what they want for the rest of the day. They're not, it's a little bit different to our community, but it's definitely...
And our marketing strategy based on, you know, we're not saying you're going to lose this much weight in this much time. It's not really about transformations or anything like that. It's like how your mind transforms and how you feel, and that... I think America will get there, but we don't think at this point it's at that point where people are like, I want to find an app that makes me feel good. They're like, I just want to lose.
Because I think that's the other thing that we do have on our side, if it works, is that there isn't really much like us over in places like that.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
So you can use the app if you're in other jurisdictions, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've got users from all over the world.
So who's the biggest, who's the top 5 markets at the moment in terms of user base?
Australia, number one.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Whilst New Zealand is obviously a much smaller community, we do have a lot of
New
users
Zealand,
from there
UK,
New
US,
Zealand, UK, US.
and then Europe.
Yeah.
Canada, does Canada come into it much at all?
A little bit, and also a little, like, tiny bit from like Mexico and different spots as well.
Yeah.
But because Australia makes up the most of it, it's kind of like divided very minimally through the rest of the world.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
But I'd be intrigued as to what market, like what you're saying about the US market, how everything's shiny and big and like you know, jack to the titch, is very American, like very Arnie type thing. Whereas like I feel like in the UK it would probably do really, UK, Canada, very, I don't know, culturally a little bit more similar.
100%.
UK definitely is a lot more
especially in our Facebook community.
Yes.
There's a lot of people from the UK in our Facebook community. And the Facebook community is made up of users who have been subscribers or are current subscribers. So, over time, we have definitely had quite a lot of people from the UK
join. Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing that I noticed the most, is that UK market. So I guess you guys are now a few years into working on this business. I didn't ask you last time. Well, I asked about how do you go about not stepping on each other's toes. I noticed you still haven't given yourselves titles other than co-founder. So
not on Instagram anyway.
Not on Instagram. Whose remit is what?
Well, we've actually really kind of defined our roles a lot in the past kind of 12 to 6 to 12 months. So I am not very creative. It's just not my realm. My mind's like very analytical and it's just always the way. So I'm more focused on like the financial and the legal and the operational side of the business.
Yeah.
I am more creative. I'm like not analytical. Which is probably why we've worked so well together. But absolutely, recently we definitely had to define our roles a little bit more, especially with the team growing. It makes it a whole lot easier on everyone else knowing who's probably to go, like who's someone to lean on in different circumstances. But I love working with the community and I work across all our socials and content as well. So I also love picking apart the app. And I'm just a visual person.
Yeah, that's always been your bread and butter.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have 3 brands that you market, you would hope so. Hope you're just a little bit creative.
We still work together as well on the bigger picture kind of things.
Yeah.
That's our role, really, in the business, and we do that together. It's not like one of us does it and the other one doesn't.
When was the last time you last answered a support ticket?
It's been do you know what? When we first relaunched, we were in it, and it was actually really bad for everyone. It
was
because
mentally not great.
If one person is upset with their experience, because we care, we're so emotionally connected to the brand.
Yeah, because it's your baby. You're invested.
We get it's like, oh my goodness, this person's been waiting for 30 minutes, and it's like, yes, that's there's we have got a fantastic team. Oh, not cracking at someone. It's just like, we need to help them. Like, why is this not working? And with tech, like, things just go wrong, and you just can't. In the someone's subscription might not be connected to something, and it might have unsubscribed them, and it's it's no one's fault. It's just things that happen.
Yeah, that's the reality of business.
Exactly.
Like when you're the founders, that you'll just have way more passion.
Yes.
Yeah, particularly when you're answering emails late at night. What hasn't changed since we last spoke?
I think we're still both really involved as we were in the business. We're still as passionate about it as we've always been, and I think that's and we're still all about team. I think that's something that we are Steph and I are really self-aware of what our skills are and what they aren't. And while we're still obviously a part of the overall direction and everything, we've got people in our team now that are better at doing things than we are. And we are so happy for them to own that. And Kik, we would never want anyone to think that Steph and I, are the reason that Kik is successful, the sole reason. And, it's all about us. Like, we have got an amazing team that works so hard. And the relaunch was a team effort. Absolutely. Every single person in the team was a part of that. It was not one person's idea or it was the whole team were a part of it. And that's really, really important for us. And I think that's something that we've always... that hasn't changed at all. Yeah,
and it's hard to consistently integrate that on a daily basis. Like, I just wrote down yesterday, all the tasks that I'm stuck in, and like Lauren and I are like a bottleneck for staff. And it's very interesting when you do that to realise sometimes how much you can get in the way of people and that you need to get out of the way so that the business cannot rely on just you existing. Because particularly when you've got a wedding coming up, like we've got a wedding coming up, and I'm praying that week that we're going to have off locally for a honeymoon, I won't hear anything about work.
Yeah.
And getting everyone ready for that
important,
is daunting, personally daunting, but
I think it's like with me, I have got no stress in the world about that. Like, our team have got it. Like, that's... Yeah. I love working though, so like I don't often... I was going to say,
I think when you get anxious or like you just want to be a part of it when you might be away or anything, it's not because of trust. No. It's just because you love it so much.
Yeah, responding to emails.
I've got the team can... Steph and I could go away for 3 months together tomorrow and fall off the centre of the earth, and Kik would be... The team would kill it and run it so well. Yeah. So... Yeah.
What's you guys have done a few interviews over 2020. What's the question you get all the time on these interviews that you can't stand anymore?
Oh, what's a good question?
What do you wish you were asked?
Probably. What's a question that we always get asked? How do you work with your best friend?
Yeah.
And I feel like, we just work. We work really well. And it's just...
Yeah.
I mean, you know your best friend more than anyone. Like, some people are closer with their best friends than they are with family members and stuff. So you should know them inside and out. You should know when not to push their buttons or, where their strengths lie and everything like that. And you should be able to read them like a book. So I think that's why we work. That's why we get so surprised when that question comes up so much, because we're like... Yeah. It just
happens.
Also,
sometimes you go on interviews and people will ask a repeat question. You're like, but I just had this conversation with someone. So what do you wish you were asked?
It's a really great question.
I think we're...
How often you match?
How often we match? Oh my goodness, we're literally matching
more often
today.
than you'd think, yeah.
I think one thing we love speaking about is the community, which I think no matter what we bring it up, you could ask us.
Yeah, you could ask us.
We could do an interview not about anything to do with it, and we'll find a way to bring it up, because I think that is what we just love speaking about. But I think we are very lucky that we get to do a lot of interviews. And I think it's just important. Something that we always have to remind ourselves of is not everyone has heard what we have to say. And I think...
Whilst we won't feel,
every interview you want to do and inspire people and motivate people and for people to listen and say, wow, I've learnt something. But when you're repeating the same thing, often, but like, what's the kick brand story? We can't change that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you must be
can I
so
spruce
bored
it
of
up?
listening to me. But that's not always the case because they've never heard it before and that's why they're asking. So I think it's more important for us to check in with ourselves because I often, some of my self-talk in my mind when I'm doing interviews, I'm like, God, everyone must be bored listening to this. Like they've heard it before. Like they must want me to say something else. But like we can't change our story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's our
It is what it
story.
is. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
With the community thing, what is the? Because I can imagine it would be like, okay, you come home from your work, you're at home, and you must have like a story each week. Because I know every night, Laura and I we go for a walk around the park, and there's always like some little thing, like a staff member's done something or a client has done something or whatever that just makes you like proud. Is there something that recently that you guys have had that you've told Dalton or Josh about?
Oh, that we've like particularly picked out as something.
Like, oh, this person today.
I mean, the boys are actually in our community. So.
I don't think Dalton is.
Oh, he is.
I don't think he is.
Maybe
no.
Josh is
I
the
think
only
Josh,
male in the But he often sees things because he often sees things, and I'll go to tell him something, and he's like, I know, I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's nice. But honestly, there'd be too many things to mention. Our community is so beautiful. Like there's inspiring, beautiful stories almost every day in there. You know, whether it's a mum that's finally found 20 minutes to herself to be able to do a workout, and she's, you know, stoked that she's found a program that works for her. You know, her baby's napping and she's able to just do it almost right next to the baby in whatever she's wearing, and then the baby wakes up and it's fine. Or, you know, you hear of someone who might have done a different challenging kind of app, or I don't want to mention any competitors, but, you know, have tried a different program before, whether it's been in person or through an app.
Yeah.
And then they've come and tried ours and actually enjoy exercise rather than dread it or, you know, be scared or feel guilty around food or anything like that. And hearing that sort of stuff for us is really rewarding because Laura and I have been through our own bad relationships with food and exercise. So I think when we just relate so much to our community with whatever they bring up because for us it's just so beautiful to see so many people doing something for them every day and learning a more sustainable and healthy way of living in such a positive
Yeah,
way.
you feel it. You feel it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That's the
100%.
stuff you get off.
Yeah.
Like I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have as much as you guys, but, you know, you get a person who messages you about an interview or a client who says something, and it's, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just about maybe there's something about making other people feel good is better than making yourself feel good.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not a big fan of Tony Robbins, but he always talks about how, like, you know, you should donate like 10 to 15% of your income.
I can see his book.
Yeah,
I literally just read that name before.
it's okay. It's like, honestly,
It's
that
okay.
book should be like 50 pages. But yeah, like he's very like that sort of woo-woo, like let's get you going type thing. But I align with that because I feel like that is the case. I love making people feel good or smile. There's something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Absolutely.
All right, rapid fire questions. Morning, evening routine. What's it look like at the moment?
Okay, my morning routine, which I picked up during COVID and just fell in love with, is to wake up and go for a walk every morning. Most mornings, Josh and I go together with Ari and walk to the coffee shop, and that's the first thing I do every single morning. And then if I come back and I've woken up early enough or have the energy, especially now that I'm pregnant, I'll do a bit of a kick workout as well. But the benefit of working from home is that if I want to do it at lunchtime or later in the day, I can do it later. And then nighttime routine, I am a sucker for binge watching the latest TV show on Netflix or Binge or Stan or any of them. But I also am a bit of a movie buff, so I think I probably watch 2 movies a week. I love it.
On a weeknight?
Yeah.
On a
watch a movie
weeknight, I can
weeknight.
only watch.
We almost did it last
I need
night.
to just watch shows.
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shows. I need
Yeah.
that 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
But see, I binge watch shows. So if I watch
But
shows,
so do I.
I'll sometimes sit there for longer than a
I could
movie.
sit for 3 hours watching a show, but to think that I was going to watch a movie.
yeah, the commitment.
I want to be in the
How
mood.
funny.
I feel like for a movie I have to be like relaxed and ready.
Oh no,
and
I just have to put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be like an opportunity cost thing with that. Yeah. Like you don't want to commit too much, but you don't want to commit too little.
Yeah, I get that. I
100%.
get that.
I've been watching, what is it? It was like an ABC series that is on Netflix now. It's called The Rake.
Okay.
Cleaver Green.
Okay.
Richard Roxburgh is the actor. It's fucking brilliant. Just a dodgy lawyer, basically.
Okay.
Very funny. Laura, Morning, evening?
Oh, I forgot something though, which I really want to mention. No.
I was like, don't you watch movies?
Don't be sorry. Every morning and night, literally only since the 1st of January, which is why I'm excited about it, because I've actually stuck with it and I'm surprised in myself. I've been journaling every morning and night. So before the end of last year, I started doing it at night as like a wind down kind of thing.
Was it after Hugh's interview?
Yeah, after we interviewed Hugh and from the Resilience Project. And I just felt really inspired to do that. And I also wanted to spend less time on my phone in bed. So it was kind of like something else to do in bed. And so every morning, you know, after I switch off my alarm, I sit up in bed. I write kind of some goals for the day or what I'm grateful for or little tasks I have to do. And then at the end of the day, the last thing I do before I turn off my light is write a bit of a journal. So like sometimes Josh is like, what have you been writing in there? I'm like, literally just what I did today. Like it's just quite
It's just
simple.
a cathartic process.
Yeah, but I'm loving it. So it's the 3rd of Feb, and so I feel really good about it.
I used to have a book, it was a diary actually. It was called like Morning Words or something like that. I feel like it was around, it was somewhere around here anyway, I don't know. But you would just literally just a diatribe of crap, just fill out, like just get everything out of your head.
Yeah.
Very cathartic.
Yeah.
But I got lazy.
Yeah, well that's the thing is you've got to stick with it, which is why I really wanted to mention it because I can't believe I have. Like, I don't think
Month's
I've
pretty good.
been able to actually stick with something like that. So I hope I do it forever now.
Laura, morning, evening.
So morning routine is I like routine. Like I'm very routine-y
Really?
person. Very routine. Anyway, so I wake up usually at 6:45 and then get up, have a coffee, do my kick workouts, and then have a shower and kind of get ready at my desk by like 8:39. And that's my morning, so that's my routine. But my me time is my exercise. If I've done that, if I've started my day with that, I just feel so much better. And I feel like I'm in control of my day more. And then at night, it really depends on the day. I feel like if we've had a more like, you know, finished at about 5:30 kind of day, and then I'll have a bit more energy. I might, you know, go for a walk with Dolt, or maybe even we've been getting a lot of takeaway, and we said to each other a few weeks ago, like, why don't we just go and eat this at the restaurant?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing. Like, you know, just a quick casual dinner, but you actually converse as opposed to sitting on the couch watching TV and eating. But I find like depending on if we finish work like after 7, 8, then I'm just so tired and all I can do is get on the couch. And then but then sometimes you have the nights like last night we were both so tired and we were watching TV and holy moly, the golf. We had that.
Josh really wants to
I was
watch
like,
that.
surely we can't. Not. I don't like saying mean things about shows because obviously someone
don't like
thought
saying
of it.
mean things. That's
Someone thought of that idea, and it's great. Like it's just not. I'm not their core audience.
There's some people that are really excited about it, like Josh. So don't feel bad.
So I'm not their core audience. It's entertaining-ish, but I'm also like, what are we watching? Like, let's watch a good show. And then we went on and I was like, oh, I don't like anything else that's on. So then we went on Netflix and we looked through, we don't like this. And then we went on Stan and then we ended up spending the whole night, like, looking for a show.
Decision fatigue,
And then we ended up watching Big Little Lies at the end because oh my god, I remember that we started watching this to Steph and we liked it, but then we had to go into another subscription service and I couldn't remember the password and it was like got to 9:45 and I was like, we should have just watched Holy Moly because then we would have actually sat down and watched something. But I don't have. There was one point where this is kind of a bit, I don't know what daggy if the word is, but we were reading at night, but I would read it to Dalton or he would read it to me, so we'd like read together.
What were you reading?
We did it with The Happiest Man on Earth, which is one of my favourite books I've ever read. Yes.
So who did you change?
Depending on who was more tired. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
so we did that. That was nice. But that's probably the best way to wind down. But I just find if you're just exhausted from the day, all you want to do is watch TV and that's okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there's something to be said about finding a series.
Yes, it's the best.
It's just it takes away that decision fatigue, but reading is really good. Like I read I don't think I could sleep well if I didn't read for at least half an hour or so a night.
You do it every night?
Every night.
Yeah, I've been doing it a lot recently as well.
For the last 8 years, every night.
Yeah, it's so good.
And it's amazing how much it compounds with like shit that's in your head afterwards. Like,
do you read business books though?
If I read fiction, I can't fall asleep.
Really?
So like Harry Potter, back in the day, I would stay up to like 2, 3 a.m. reading
Right,
it.
because you were just so into it.
So into it.
I see. I'm the opposite. If I was to read anything that was like self-help or business or whatever related at night, I'd be too switched on. Like last night, actually, I did my journaling. I'd read a chapter of my book and I was ready to go to bed. And then Josh brought something up to do with work. And I literally had to sit back up in bed and I looked at him and I was like, I've just winded down. And then I picked back up my book and I had to read 2 extra chapters just to kind of like have my mind on a different story that was totally unrelated to work.
Funny. I wonder why that is. We've been pretty terrible like that. Like I've been having to punch out like an hour of emails at night, like at sometimes 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever, and it's not good. It definitely keeps you up. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Interwebs.
Yeah.
On Instagram at Cubic Cleaner Steph Claire Smith or Laura.Henshaw, and then our Kick website is www.cubiccleaner.com.au, and then you can also find us on the App Store.
Do you have the .com?
What do you mean?
Do you guys own the
We do
.com?
not.
Ooh.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I just sometimes there are people who sit on certain domains.
Yeah, we've tried to. No, before we started, someone had the
was like a
.com. Before
cleaning,
we were a thing, we tried to get in contact with them, but they never
Answered?
got back. Yeah.
It'll be someone who just buys domains and sits on them.
But it was before we were a brand.
I think it was a cleaning company or something.
Yeah.
That just didn't really use it.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of brands work around it now. Like if it's a brand, like there's one we're working with at the moment, it's called Happy Human. And someone obviously has Happy Human and their thing is just like, it's Happy Human.
Yeah, cute. Yeah.
So, and same with like handles, like it's Zoe Laz or whatever creator that, it may be. But yes, we'll link all that. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
I need a bathroom break. I don't know about you, but I'm really busted.
I definitely do.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode. If you do like it, please subscribe, and of course, like if you're watching the YouTube video as well. We'd really appreciate that. You can also find our Clips channel in the description. For audio, if you're not already listening, you can search Uncommon on Pocket Cast, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts quite easily. For video, if you're not watching, you can search Uncommon on YouTube. And for behind the scenes takes and clips on social media, then definitely check out at @uncommon_show on Instagram. But otherwise, look, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, thanks for listening.